The Dixon Gallery and Gardens is an art museum here in Memphis, Tennessee. We have artwork that travels from all over the world to be shown in our gallery spaces, and the artwork is always changing, so there's always something new to see. We also have a beautiful garden outside filled with all different types of plants, flowers, and trees.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Danielle.
We work for the Dixon Gallery and Gardens, and our job is to teach people about the museum and the gardens outside.
Today we're going to create an art project with you inspired by the Dixon. Let's get started.
The Dixon will be hosting an exhibition titled Black Artists in America from October 17th through January 2nd. In this exhibition, the Dixon will showcase art made by Black artists from all across the United States, all throughout the 20th century. One of the artists featured in the exhibition is Hale Woodruff. Woodruff was born in 1900 and grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. He was forced to attend segregated schools there, but developed a passion for art early in life. He was talented enough to win an award that allowed him to travel to Paris and study art for 4 years. When he returned to the United States, he worked as an art teacher. Later, he became the art director for the historically Black college, Atlanta University. He created an annual competition for Black artists to showcase their work, when it was often very hard to find gallery representation as an African American. He often depicted the unfair plight of African Americans in his paintings and used them as a way to advocate for social justice. He taught the rest of his life at a variety of schools and trained a new generation of African American artists who became famous in their own right. Woodruff is most famous for his paintings and murals, but he also made some incredible prints as well. This image is a lino cut. That means that he carved the picture into soft linoleum using a blade, and then it was covered with ink to make a copy of the image, almost like a stamp. This image is part of a series of lino cuts Woodruff made while he was living and working in Atlanta. The prints were actually made 16 years after his death, and the original linoleum plates are now in a collection in New York. Another well-known artist from the exhibition is Jacob Lawrence. Jacob Lawrence was born in 1919 in New Jersey. He had a tough childhood and was even in foster care at one point. In an effort to keep him busy, he was enrolled in after-school art classes, and there he was encouraged by his teachers to pursue art. He dropped out of school at 16 but continued to pursue art while he was working. He was part of the Harlem Renaissance, a cultural movement among African Americans living in New York, and the movement celebrated Black art, music, dance, theater, writing, and basically all creative endeavors. He is best known for his portrayals of African Americans in historical settings, as well as modern life. His art often tells a story and portrays geometric shapes and bright colors. His goal was to tell the stories of African Americans in both the past and present. Lawrence became incredibly well known for his paintings and illustrations. He showcased his art in museums all around the country. He made illustrations for children, and he was paid to create several works of art, such as murals, for public institutions. This painting, titled No. 2 Main Control Panel, is one of 50 paintings Lawrence made for the Coast Guard during World War II, depicting the role of African American soldiers in the war. What we'll be doing today is making a mystery drawing. It's an activity that is inspired by the two images that we looked at earlier, the print by Woodruff and the control panel painting by Lawrence. You've been given a sketch of one of those two images, but it's been scrambled. Your job is to unscramble by drawing what you see in each square according to the grid pattern until you create an image that makes sense again. The first step is to look at the top left square. You can see that it has a number 5 on it. On my main paper, I'm going to look for the square that has a number 5 as well. Once I've located that, my job is to copy what I see in the square of the puzzle into the square of my black paper. I find it helpful to cover up some of the other squares with my hand so that I can focus on just the one square that I'm trying to draw. Make sure that if the lines go all the way to the edge of the square, that the lines on your drawing do too. You need to pay close attention to where things are positioned within the square and try to keep the position the same. That way, the rest of your drawing will match up. Now that I've copied what was in square 5, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is numbered 7. So again, on my black piece of paper, I'm going to find the box that is numbered 7, and I'm going to try to draw what I see in the original puzzle in that box. Again, I'm going to be very careful to try to get everything in the right position and to make sure that my lines go all the way to the edges of the box. We're going to keep repeating this process a square at a time until we've filled in our whole grid that's on our black paper. Just a note, when you're working on a square that's next to one that you've already drawn, try to make sure that your lines connect, because again, we're trying to make a finished image at the end of this process. You might even have some squares that are blank in your mystery drawing, and in those, you don't have to do anything. Once you have finished copying each square on your grid, you can compare it to your inspiration image. This is another print from Hale Woodruff from his Atlanta series. I did pretty good, but I can go back and add more details with my white pencil now, and even add some customizations to make it more personalized. Add as many details or changes as you like. Artists often use grids like this to keep their artwork in perspective and to help them focus on seeing just a small part of the picture rather than the whole thing at once. It kind of tricks your brain into keeping things simpler and not getting overwhelmed. Here's my finished product. I hope you enjoyed the process. If you didn't get it quite right on your first try, you can make another grid and try again. It takes a little practice to get this process down. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll visit the Dixon soon, and as always, stay creative!